Hello, everyone. I'm so excited for this masterclass. We are going to be talking about the hidden origin of your money story and how to finally heal financial trauma. So, in this talk, we're going to go into detail about what kind of things that you might be facing, what you've already done, why it hasn't worked, what's super annoying to hear when it comes to wealth creation, wealth retention. We're going to be talking about the nervous system, my five origins of wealth blocks and blocks to receiving in general. And I'm going to be telling you some micro stories of people probably very similar to you and what I've done with them to get to the point they are at now. And in those micro stories, there are some really important questions that you're going to ask yourself to just get in touch with where you are at along this journey of wealth creation and wealth retention. And I'm also going to be talking about old paradigm versus new paradigm, like what programs, I'm literally going to be listing out the programs that we are programmed with and just what to replace them with, right? So this is a packed out masterclass. I have honestly been working on this for quite a while, but the day before last night I just couldn't sleep, right? So I'm like running off adrenaline. Like I just could not sleep because I was just like, I need to get this information out and I need to do it quick. So this is what we're going to be doing. And who do I already work with? So I already work with wealthy 7 to 8 figure business owners, entrepreneurs, and also the rising woman. So maybe you're not quite there yet, or you're not there yet at all, but you know that you're destined for more. And it's not all about income because I also work with women that have prioritized having more time for their families, having a lifestyle full of travel, really getting their creativity out there, their healing business out there. So they're, on that journey towards that from beginner to getting 7 figures. So today is not about the wealth like trajectory just towards money. It's about being a wealth goddess, right? A wealth goddess is somebody that feels wealthy in every sense. If you listened to my previous talk yesterday, I talked about the 16 forms of wealth and the goddess Lakshmi from Hinduism and how all 16 forms of wealth really should be achieved, or should be noted and given gratitude to in the Vedas. So that is very important. So what are you dealing with right now? It's a crazy time. So here's what I have noticed that a lot of the people that come to me are dealing with, whether they're whatever level they're at, because believe it or not, income levels still show the same block. So whether you have 7 figures or whether you're just starting your business, you literally have very similar mindsets, if you're coming to me. So the first thing is the invisible gate. I call it this invisible gate because it feels like you are just stuck. Like you make income, but it always stops at a certain point, right? You're stuck at a certain income level. There's this invisible ceiling, and you feel your worst case scenario is that you're always going to be stuck here. Meanwhile, your vision is growing. You know you're meant for more. You know you want to work with different clients. You know you want to, deepen into your authenticity, which is a constant thing, by the way, deepening into our authenticity. We're always going to be evolving. We're always going to be changing. It's very rare that people like you and me find one thing and then we do that for the rest of our lives. So this is super important. And we want to break through that invisible gate. When I say we, it's because I'm on your team. Whether you work with me or not, I'm on your team because you've showed up to this. You are here with the masterclass and we are in union from wherever time, space, reality. So it's a we right now, okay? So we want to break through that invisible gate. We want your income level and your lifestyle vision to match the inner vision that's going on inside. The other thing that I see come up so much is the inner saboteur. Now, this is a wounded part of you that believes safety lies in the familiar and not the expansive. So this is basically self-sabotage. But I want you to actually imagine that there is somebody in your head and It wants safety. It wants what's familiar. It doesn't want to go into uncharted new territory because it doesn't know what lies ahead. So every time you move towards something, every time you manifest something from your third eye, or your crown chakra, every time you get a download of what your next step needs to be, this part of you, the inner saboteur, comes in and says, hey, we're not going to do that because it's going to be this, this, and this. So I'm going to do everything I can to keep you in safety. So we need to get the inner saboteur on board. We need to make sure that the inner saboteur does feel safe. We need to hear out what exactly it's worried about. Instead of that, people work on like procrastination methods or breakthrough methods that doesn't take this inner saboteur on board. It doesn't break through the invisible gate, right? It's just bulldozing. So we're not about that. The third thing is the soul exchanger. Now, the soul exchanger, you might have this if you feel you need to continuously offer more of your soul, more of your energy, more of your time, then feels okay for you to deserve the things you want in your life, right? So to deserve money, to deserve the traveling, to deserve the lifestyle, to deserve to expand the business or even take the foot off the business and make it passive, you feel like you need to give more of your soul energy or time. Now, when you do this, there is a law called balancing forces. Balancing forces wants to ensure that you put in the right amount of effort for the right result. So if you're putting in more effort for a less result, that means the balance, there's something off there. And also, if you put in more effort, right? Balancing forces, the law of balance is always there to keep everything balanced. Now, I'm not going to go too much into it. I've learned so much about the law of balance, okay? And I've received so much information about it. But plainly put, it will balance you out. It will actually make the thing more harder because it wants you to put in the right amount of effort. If someone is going to be doing, I don't know, like an athletic long jump or something, they need to put in the right measurements, the right way to jump, the right amount of effort, the right amount of pressure to reach their target. They can't go less pressure or more pressure. So balancing forces is actually in on your side to help you put in the right amount of effort. Now that's really important when we're on this journey. The other thing is life force exhaustion. So if you feel burnt out and you're not receiving the joy from what you're doing anymore, or you can't switch off, right? You've built wealth, but you don't have a lifestyle that you can enjoy. Or you feel so burnt out just managing your survival needs of you and your family. This is life force exhaustion. Now, when we need to expand, build, or align, we need life force energy, right? In Kundalini, we need to use that creative life force energy to quantum leap, to do different things, to, be more influential, to be more energetic. And when that's exhausted, either by just managing your life as it is now or managing your business as it is now, there is no more energy there to do the next step. I'm going to be telling you a little bit of my background if you don't know me, but I have trained in Kundalini from the age of 14. And before, it was very much ingrained in the practice and in the Vedas that when I attended the ashrams, that we need to be harnessing and retaining our energy before we go towards something, right? We can't just be doing our day-to-day things and then making a massive jump. We actually need to be doing a practice where we're harnessing, maintaining, growing our energy inwardly, making our life force strong before we go towards something. So if you don't have that practice, stop beating yourself up, right? Stop beating yourself up and thinking, why am I not there yet? Why have I not got what I want yet? Because there's just no point in doing that. Because in the ancient practices, there was always a way to do certain things. And in the modern world, we've completely forgotten these things. Okay. So this is why I'm here. We're going to be going into some of it. Now, the human condition around wealth is that we have certain needs and then we have things that block our needs. And then we start feeling like, what is happening here? And then we start creating an out of balance relationship with wealth. So I'm going to be going through the chakra system and I'm going to be noting all the needs that you have just as a human being. So we're all at different consciousness levels, but just as a human being, you will have these needs, especially in the lower chakras. These needs are like paramount. You need to fulfill the needs of your lower chakras before you move into your higher chakras, which is what raises your consciousness and makes wealth easier and gets you to tap into that wealth frequency, right? But we can't tap into wealth frequency if our human self is not satisfied. So the first thing is our root chakra at the bottom of our spine. Now, this is all about wanting to survive. So the need is being able to survive, to easily be able to eat, to have shelter, to meet your needs. The thing that blocks it is when fear starts happening, when fear about having too much sometimes, I've got too much stuff, I feel guilty, or I don't have enough. I'm constantly giving my life force energy to just meeting my basic needs. There can be fear of things like I'm fear of being rich, fear of poverty, fear of AI, fear of losing everything, whatever, right? So when there's fear, it keeps you in this survival mode and it doesn't allow your Kundalini life force, your energy to rise. Because the second chakra, the sacral, is about pleasure. Pleasure is a human need. Pleasure is something that if you don't raise beyond the survival instincts, you will feel very unhappy in life because you're not, fulfilling your needs of pleasure. But things that can block your needs of pleasure is either when you're stuck in the root or when you have guilt. When you have guilt, when you enjoy things, you might think other people have less than you. Again, this is a program because if we're really concerned about people having less than us, instead of just thinking it, we actually have to create wealth to help them. Do you know what I mean? We actually have to do an action. There's no point just sitting and thinking, I'm not going to enjoy what I have because there's people who have less than me. Or you just feel guilt, you feel like your actions just don't bring pleasure. You might not trust yourself to go towards the right things for pleasure. This is seen a lot in relationships, wanting pleasure and then choosing the wrong partner, or in wealth creation, choosing the wrong avenue, and then feeling like guilty about it because you've wasted all this money. But the guilt in itself, if you're carrying the guilt frequency, that will actually bring you opportunities that make you lose wealth because you're carrying that frequency. And in this universe, frequency matches frequency. The third chakra is about wanting to be powerful, okay? Wanting to use our raw power. This is a very masculine chakra, so it's all about actually going out into the world and putting our imprint out into the world. And this is very important. This is probably the last lower chakra that you really need to satisfy. Now, most people that are happy in the earthly world have what they need to survive, they get pleasure from it, and they feel like they're putting their imprint onto the world. And it's only when they want to raise their consciousness, they feel something is missing, and then they start coming and talking about, there's something missing from me because they haven't tapped into their higher chakras. Many people go through life and they're happy to just do these three things. This is what we're taught in school. This is what our parents want us to achieve. This is just these three things. But we don't want to be stuck here. So the solar plexus, when you feel like you can't put your masculine imprint into the world, meaning you are not influencing the world in somehow, it could be you're not in, like you're just not, you don't have to be a massive influential figure. It could just be like you could be in the corner of a planet working with one person, but if that one person has a shift, you have imprinted yourself onto this reality, and that will satisfy your solar plexus. The thing that blocks the solar plexus is a feeling of unworthiness, feeling like, am I really worthy of like imprinting myself? Do I really have something to offer? Is this going to really make a difference? Who am I? Imposter syndrome, all of this stuff is stuck in the solar plexus. On the flip side, there's people that imprint too much. They start dominating. They start thinking, oh, I'm so powerful, I'm going to just imprint everything. And that creates an overactive situation. Same with the root. When you're overactive about survival, you're not able to rise. When you're underactive about survival, you're not able to rise. When you don't have enough pleasure, you're not able to rise. When you have too much pleasure, you're stuck in pleasure, you're not able to rise. Some people are stuck in dopamine pleasure, all day watching Netflix, doing all these things and then saying that their mental health is bad because of they're stuck in the pleasure center. Your mental health can also be bad when you're stuck in the power center. Now, when you go to your higher chakras, so your heart is literally the chakra that connects your throat, your higher chakras, and your lower chakras. Your heart is about wanting to share your message. It's about really wanting to love people and expand. But what blocks your heart is grief around memories of loss. It can be ancestral memories, it can be memories in your life. Memories of when you have given something from all your heart, probably in childhood, and you have got rejected or humiliated or felt to made less than. So that memory, that grief of loss will stop you wanting to share freely and expand freely in the world, which is what you're made to do. When it is underactive, it's contracted. You're not giving love. When it's overactive, you're giving too much love, but you're giving too much love to clients. You're giving too much of yourself in relationships because you want to make sure that you're not going to lose that person or lose the money or lose the lifestyle, right? So overactive, underactive. Throat is about wanting to be unique and expressive, wanting to bring your unique flair in your writing, in your speaking, in the way you dress. But what blocks it is having to conform too much. Having to conform maybe in what you do or in the industry that you're in and not being able to have an outlet for your creative expression. This truly blocks your throat. And we're going to be going deeper into more of this, right? The third eye is about wanting to no longer take part in the matrix. So by the time you get to this point, which I feel a lot of you are at, you are like, okay, I understand the illusion of this world. I understand the Maya. In the Vedas, it's called Maya. I understand the Maya of this world, right? And I don't want to partake in this anymore. But I feel stuck, I feel programmed. I feel too programmed with the matrix I don't know another way out now. So this keeps you stuck here because it's like, I want to shift. And everyone else is telling me that these really annoying things like, get out of survival mode and money gets to be easy, just do it now. But I can't shift because I don't know how. And then the final chakra is the crown. So this is about when you're at the ultimate form of union with the universe. The universe, you are just a channel, you are just a mere vessel, and the universe is using you and working through your unique energy to orchestrate your purpose into reality. So all you have to do is literally download messages, get out of the way and broadcast, or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're a creative, you just need to get out of the way and create. If you are a healer, you need to get out of the way and heal. If you're a therapist, you need to get out of the way and listen. Whatever it is, right? Now, this is opening up to ultimate spiritual source, spiritual intelligence. But what blocks it is not trusting that it's real, not feeling like it's possible to do that, only feeling like gurus can do that or enlightened people can do that. The truth is, the new form of enlightenment is to live in this world and align all of these things that I'm talking about and be in an enlightened state amongst the chaos. It's not about going off into the woods, into the forest, away from civilization anymore. So when people talk about aligning chakras and all of these things, it can be very vague, but I'm telling you very real things on how to align them. So root, you need to make sure that you are able to survive, but not stuck in survival. Sacral, you need to make sure you're getting pleasure and play from life, but not too much pleasure that you're just, your dopamine receptors are like blown and not working too hard that you're not able to connect with pleasure and you feel frozen around pleasure. You need to be able to put your imprint into the world so you can feel influential and powerful, but not too much that you dominate others and not feeling so unworthy that you think that you don't have any imprint or influence for the world. You need to share and give love from your heart because love is the highest vibration and love is what heals. But you shouldn't give too much love just to get an outcome. And you also don't want to be too contracted that you're not able to truly share. And all this is a frequency, okay? Because some people share, 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 but the frequency behind it is what am I getting in return? The throat is all about having to be able to put out your unique, expressive, authentic, quirky self into the world and not feeling like you have to conform so much or that you can't. You feel like you're going to be persecuted if you're who you are, or also you don't want to be overactive and completely miss the signals of how you're being received and just completely, be broadcasting yourself and be all about yourself either. The third eye is about understanding the matrix and understanding how to not take part in it anymore. And the crown is realizing that spiritual intelligence is here to flow through us and trusting that that is completely possible. And this is how you create a beautiful relationship with everything in your life. But since we're talking about wealth today, a beautiful relationship with wealth. You have the income that you want and you're happy with it because, I meet so many people that have a lot of income and they're not happy. So we don't want to be there. And you also don't want to be in a situation where you don't have enough income, but think money is the answer to all of your problems because it's not. Okay. And it's not just about money, it's about lifestyle, it's about time, it's about freedom. So we also want to bring that into our world. Now, let me tell you a little bit about me. A lot of you might already know me because you're coming from my world, or maybe you don't. So, my journey is my heritage is Indian, and I have two different, very polarizing forces. So, my mother, she's very scientific. She's, a doctor, and she's very much that family line is highly educated, so they have transmitted a different frequency to me. And my father's line is highly spiritual and entrepreneurial, so he has always trained in Kundalini meditation and Kundalini yoga from age 5 or something. And when I turned 14, I started going to ashrams every year and learning about in a very organic way. There was nothing orchestrated or glamorous about it. It was just literally going and having the discipline of sitting with the practice of Kundalini yoga, Kundalini meditation, understanding the teachings from the Vedas. And because I received that information at a very young age, I didn't know any different. Like it was just such a transmission. I was also initiated into the practice as well. So it's been such a part of my life. It's been such a part of my foundation. I've also carried on my practices with the Vedas. I've continued studying them. I also have studied astrology, gene keys. I've all of these kind of things, which I've infused with into my work. I feel like I am the bridge between this earth space reality and the higher realms. And my goal is to really make things clear and not make things too ethereal. So really bring in the knowledge so you can practically apply it to your life, whether you want to have beautiful wealth, whether you want to have a beautiful relationship. But ultimately, I want you to feel free, authentic, and aligned with who you are. I believe the power exists within you. I don't want anyone looking at me as having more power than them. I'm here to instigate the power within you. I've also studied this industry long before I've been in it. So before I am now doing what I do, I was in music and I was doing art directing and I was working with a lot of businesses on messaging and marketing and, how to get their word out when you just can't explain what you do, right? So a lot of people who are spiritual healers, creative, they're like, I don't know what I do. I don't know the transformation I make. I just do it. But that doesn't translate online. That doesn't translate when someone comes to you and they're like, what do you do? So I was really working with them and I was studying, what makes people stand out, what makes people give up their business after 10 years, why people are surviving, why people are thriving. And of course, I was working with them tangibly with their messaging and marketing and through art, it was like through visuals and storytelling. But I was looking at their character as well, and I was looking at what is the characteristics behind the results and all of this stuff. I also have a business degree from the University of London focused on consumer psychology, branding, and it's all about helping understand the mechanics of wealth and business, from a psychological perspective, from a visual perspective. So these things have also really helped me and helped me to help my clients. Um, and another thing is I've definitely worked with plant medicine in my life, and consistently plant medicine, especially ayahuasca, has showed me the new paradigm that we're going into. So it's not this concept that I don't quite understand. Like I've literally seen it, I've literally lived it, I've literally gone through the journey of feeling stuck in this reality and then seeing what's on the other side. So this is what I'm really here to bridge to you. And I know that you're somebody that has done things before because I always attract a certain type of woman over and over again, a woman that I absolutely love and would completely be friends with if I wasn't doing this work. And, these women, they've really taken their life seriously. They really commit to their life. They really connect with what it is that they're here to do. So they've done, they're always reading, this is you, so you might have already done the self-help books, the affirmations, you've done the mindset work, you've done things around wealth like budgeting or whatever. You've already hired a coach, maybe. You've already maybe paid 25K for that coach. Maybe you've invested a lot. You've studied strategy, you've looked at people online and you've calibrated to people that you admire, but you just quite don't understand what it is that they're doing that's making it work and why it's not working for you. And when I say why it's not working for you, this could be why you don't feel happy with what you have, right? Why you feel burnt out. Everything that I mentioned in the beginning. Why you feel that invisible gate and you're stuck at an income level. Why you feel you can't expand and match up with the vision that's coming through you because of the inner saboteur. Why you feel you need to exchange so much of your soul energy or time. Why you feel exhausted and why you have these blocks in your chakras. You might have already heard things like just get out of survival mode, money gets to be easy, you get to be free, you get to make passive income, or people might have just told you, just do it, just make it happen. And you're thinking, okay, but how? And most times you might turn inward and think, why is this not happening? Why am I feeling like this? But it's really not your fault. I'm letting you off the hook because I'm going to really be breaking down so much of other people's journeys and so much in this masterclass that I believe that is going to help you and bring you awareness to why things just haven't lifted, right? Why it hasn't clicked. Most of the times, the things you've done haven't worked because they've been surface level. Even a lot of healing modalities are very surface level. They're very around your thoughts, your habits, or strategy, or just one part of the holistic system. Shift needs to be taken in mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, and most important, spiritually. When we only work on mental, say you've just done therapy that only works on mental, or you've just done strategy sessions that works on physical, or you've just changed your social circle and you're now moving with higher people, that's just social. It has to be a holistic situation and it has to be personalized, right? Because you are a unique being. It's not a one size fits all. So it has to be personalized. It has to go to the root of your energetic patterns, of the life that you've lived, which is highly, highly unique. The other thing is a lot of stuff around nervous system out there. So I'm just going to mention the nervous system. Now, the nervous system, when it comes to wealth, is when it's in flight, freeze, fawn, or fight. And I'm going to tell you some so you can identify if you are in any of this or if your nervous system is completely healthy. Now, if you can't relax, right? If you're somebody that always has to keep moving, always has to be doing, you can't switch off at 3 a.m. at night. I mean, I definitely couldn't while running while running this event, right? But that's a one-off. But if you consistently feel like that, you're consistently thinking, what do I need to do? I need to do more, or I can't take my foot off the pedal, then you're in flight mode. Sorry, you're in fight mode. Okay? If you feel like you constantly need to be doing something and putting in the effort, you're in fight mode. So your nervous system is always in that adrenaline kind of situation, and it's like literally having to constantly put your energy out there. If you feel that you can't get going, that you know what your vision is, but you just can't seem to get yourself to move naturally, right? So we're not forcing ourselves, we're not bulldozing ourselves. The way a healthy nervous system works around wealth is we get a download, we know what we're supposed to be doing, we're working with our spiritual intelligence, and then we naturally align to it, meaning like we don't have to do that much. There's not that much motivational striving to actually do the tasks. You just naturally do them because it just happens, okay? Because you've healed all the things that I've spoken about. If you feel like you need to push yourself, you need to put in motivation, you need to do your to-do list, you need to really do all these things all the time, you're in freeze mode. Your nervous system is putting the brake. It's saying, I'm holding so much baggage that I need you to empty all of this so I can get going, right? So it's in freeze mode. If you're somebody who just can't relax, okay, so it's kind of different to fight. So it's not like you're always putting in the effort. It's just like you might be putting in the effort, you might not be putting in the effort, right? So you might be in fight or freeze, but you just can't relax around it. You just feel like not satisfied, you just don't you can't engage in what it is that you need to do because it feels just too overwhelming or there's just too much to do. And you thinking like, I know I'm gonna do it and I know that this is meant for me, but why can't I get like it just feels too overwhelming. You're in flight mode, right? You kind of run away from it. Or maybe you're someone that doesn't even wanna like look at your finances or like just face what the situation here is. You're in flight mode. And if you're someone that goes up, like up and beyond, right? You give way beyond your threshold. You just give way beyond your threshold. You're someone in fawn mode. You're just fawning your way. And it's not your fault because we're going to be discussing the origins of why your nervous system is in this state. But this is what it is. A healthy nervous system receives the download. They are able to naturally do the actions to make it happen. They're able to switch off and relax no matter the ups and downs. Anyone tells you there's no ups and downs in business, they're lying. There's absolutely ups and downs in life, okay? But you're able to just handle them. Of course, before a big project, you might be up all night, but that's different. And you're not going to be going over your threshold, over your limit to make things happen. You completely understand what's in your remit. You understand the amount of effort that you're willing to give to make things happen. And the outside world, the matrix programming is always going to try and, activate your nervous system in one of these ways. It's going to tell you things like AI is wiping out business, right? Or like a recession is coming or whatever it is. And people actually use this in their marketing strategies as well. They spike your nervous system to get you to pay attention. And it's okay to do it if you're coming from a true place of actually explaining, you know, about like here I'm explaining about the nervous system, right? So it's not like I'm just coming out with a shock because when a shock can really get you to either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. But I want you to be aware of this. I don't want you to fall into these matrix programs I want you to understand that everything is neutral in the universe. Everything is just a cycle, just like the seasons in nature. Everything is a cycle. Whatever is within you, whatever energy that you're carrying, and I'm going to be talking about the five origins, whatever energy you're carrying is going to be the way you see the world. Okay, your activating system, if you just think about yellow cars all day, you're going to see yellow cars, even if there's like 10 red cars on your road. Your attention's going to go to that. So if you're carrying certain programs, let's just take AI for example. If you're already carrying a program of fear and feeling like unworthy and understanding the true impact that you make, when people start talking about AI, you're going to now start worrying that AI is going to replace you. Whereas when everyone was going on about that, I saw AI as something that's going to just help me magnify what I do. I'm never going to feel like AI is going to replace me. And if it does, fair enough, because I believe that I'm here for a reason. I don't think like higher intelligence is making mistakes by creating us and we have all these dreams and purposes and we're just like a complete I don't buy that, right? So I also don't feel that AI is going to affect me negatively. But if I had so much fear anyway about just not to be, if I saw myself as being unworthy and having a fear of survival, I would see everything as a threat. I would see AI as a threat. I would see the recession as a threat. I would see the pandemic as an excuse. I would see, like Brexit, whatever it is, I would see every single thing as a threat because it's my activating system. I don't know is it reticular or something, reticular activating system or something like that, right? So you want to be somebody that is neutral within yourself. So when things are chucked at you, you're able to, with your third eye, see the matrix version of it and see the opportunity in it for you. This time is a lot about flexibility and adaptability, right? But you need to have that in your character before you're able to approach anything in life with that attitude. So this is something that why inner work is truly important when it comes to wealth creation and why we can't just build an identity and bulldoze our way through anything in life because we're already carrying a lot of baggage. We're already carrying a lot of programs, and it is our duty to clear those out. Where do these programs come from? So I talk about the five origins. So the first is womb and conception. Now, from the point that you're conceived, you are absorbing so much energetically, physically, everything, from the point, it's like the Big Bang. You are the Big Bang at the point of conception. And based on the state of your mother, state of your father, again, in Kundalini practices, we work before we're taught even before creating a child, before attracting a soul, we spend like so much time in certain practices, to make our physical body primed, to make our mental, emotional body primed, and even the act of conceiving is done with such intention because there's so much emphasis on the point of conception and how it affects the child coming in. So conception is an origin, right, of money trauma or financial trauma or relationship trauma or whatever, because we are absorbing the imprints from our parents and what state they were in when they conceived you. Not to say if you find out that it was an absolute, drunken fling, not to say that you are a lesser soul. Sometimes you are a very strong soul and you've chosen that circumstance to come in. But as we move forward um into life, right? We understand that we have to be more conscious in what we do. So the womb experience is also another thing. When you are inside your mother's womb for 9 months, you are again absorbing so much of her state of being, her imprints, how she feels about money, how she feels about love, and also about your father, how your father is treating your mother, right? So that all of that is getting absorbed and it affects the condition of you, whether you choose to come in like at the point of conception or whether you choose to come in at the point of birth. So that totally affects your way of life. The other thing is mother and father wounds. So, how your mother reacted to you and acted towards you, how your father reacted to you and acted towards you in your early life. The third thing is life experience. So, relationships, your work life, the school where people might have had more than you or had less than you. The other one is ancestral, right? So, ancestral uncompleted patterns literally get passed forward through our lineage as well, through just like how genetic ailments gets passed down, so does ancestral incompletions. And then the last one is multidimensional. It could be something from a past life, it could be something from a future life, it could be something from a soul contract. So because we're talking about wealth, our money trauma can come from any one of these. So I'm going to be telling you some micro stories, and I'm also going to be telling you the question that you need to ask yourself to understand where you are at regarding all of this. I've chosen very specific stories. I've worked with so many clients, I've seen so many stories. So I'm saying some specific ones. So the first one is the mother wound and family loyalty. So I was working with a woman. She came from a very humble beginnings. Her family were grafters. Her mother was a stay-at-home mom. And she was totally different. She like really wanted to think big. She had real vision and she went for it and she reached seven figures. But she still felt like not happy in herself. She felt isolated. She felt like she'd built the lifestyle around her, but she just couldn't pass the new financial threshold because there was something in her. She was totally capable of doing it strategy wise and all of that, but she just kept holding herself back. So she came to me and we worked around this and we discovered that last Thanksgiving for her was like super hard because she felt like such an alien. Now she's actually really close to her family, but she's started to feel more and more alienated because she's different and she doesn't fit in with her social circle now. She doesn't fit in with her family line, right? Her mother is feeling like, why haven't you settled down yet? Like, time's ticking. Why are you working all the time? This isn't how a woman should be. So she had this secret loyalty to her family. And inside, that loyalty is stopping her from moving forward, okay? Because she doesn't want to outgrow her family. She doesn't want to be the one that's the wealthiest in her family because her dad wanted to be like that. And she was paying coaches like 25K a month to just help her break through to the next level. But we actually worked together and we did the mental, social, physical, spiritual, emotional work, the somatic work, to truly understand that she gets to have her family and she also gets to rise. Okay. So we worked for 6 months on deep identity realignment, clearing the unconscious loyalty threads to her family that look like outdated energetic agreements, energy cords, and really upgrading her wealth identity and anchoring her nervous system to realize that she can have more and still be the same person, that can connect with her family because her identity of having more was like, I lose my family. And she didn't realize her inner saboteur was very much holding on to that. So once we cleared this, the loyalty to her family identity shifted and she was earning more than she ever had and she felt happier. So we broke the unconscious don't outgrow them vow. And people can have this for their social circle, for their families, even for their partners. Sometimes they just don't want to break through a certain ceiling because they don't want to lose what they already have. And in their head, they've created a story to say, if I have more, I'm going to lose this. Now, I want to ask you, and you might want to write this down, which identity are you loyal to and why? because you are actually loyal to a wealth identity. If you think about yourself wealthy, there will be some things that come up, right? And they will be attached to another identity, maybe your family identity. Okay. So I want you to write down what's your family identity of wealth? What's your social identity of wealth? What's your relationship identity of wealth? I've met so many women that they think if they make, and I had this program, that if I get to a certain income level, that my relationships won't be happy because it's an old program of like men have to make more money. And if they don't make money, then something's going to go wrong. We've seen that over and over again in our ancestral line. So the story has been there. Another micro story, I'm saying micro story because they're like quick snippets of like 6 months of work. Is someone, I call her a rising woman, right? Because she's someone who's destined to be wealthy. And she was building her business. Clients wanted to pay her in full. They wanted to pay her more than ever. But she actually goes to them. So she would say, okay, I'll send you the link, and then she'll disappear, right? And when we got into it, she came to me and she was like, I don't know why I do this. And when we got into it, we realized that she actually felt really small when people were like willing to pay her. And she didn't understand why. She didn't understand why somatically in her chest it was feeling super tight when people wanted to give her money. And some people saw her as like this really influential, amazing person, and she just felt really uncomfortable. So when we got to it, it's because her father told her over and over again that people don't give you things for no reason. Like if they're flattering you and they're telling you that you're so amazing and they're paying you money, they're going to expect a lot from you, right? And he was actually still telling her this to this day. So she was like thinking, if I take this money, I'm gonna have to be giving, again, what we went like life force exhaustion, and I'm gonna have to fawn, and I'm gonna have to. So there was her nervous system was in fawn mode. She was scared of that. She was scared of giving more. Her heart chakra was out of alignment because she was giving more. So we worked with all, the heart chakra, the nervous system, the inner child, repatterning, her somatic memory, and understanding that she can still give what she wants, right? And she moved on to signing more and more high-paying clients than ever before. So I want you to ask yourself, what bad thing do you think will happen to you if you have money? Because we're always running away from something if we're not getting that thing. So just write all the bad things that you think will happen to you if you get to the income goal. Now, another client story is one of womb and conception. So she actually didn't realize that her first money identity was written before birth. So when she was in the womb, her mother carried financial stress like oxygen, and her womb absorbed that vibration. So her mother could not make ends meet. She just stopped trying. So she was a single mother and she just couldn't make ends meet. And it was highly, highly stressful. And my client had received this into herself and she didn't know what was going on. She was doing mindset work and it wasn't shifting. So when we worked together, we did womb regression. We healed the money frequency that her mother unconsciously imprinted and recoded the moment of conception. So we went back to that moment, we saw what was in her body, we cleared it on all levels, and we recalibrated it. So I want you to ask yourself, what was your mother's experience when you were in the womb? Okay. You might want to have a conversation to your mother about this. And it's important that you know. It's important how she felt because you would have taken some of that on. Got two more to go. So the fourth one is life experience. Now, this client, she grew up in a school where this is about life experience it came from. So she grew up in a school where all her friends had way more than her. She had way less than everyone else. And this really affected her because this was part of her identity. She was used to being the one that had less. She was used to being the one that had to earn everything, that had to work super hard. So she chose partners she had to save. She chose jobs where she had to overgive. She chose friendships where she had to play the easy, outgoing one, you know, and she was constantly in that identity. She was always one that felt small, so everybody felt comfortable. So when she came to me, she was like, I work super hard. She's super capable. She was like, I work really hard, but I'm just so exhausted. It was like life force exhaustion because her wealth identity archetype was like the good girl, and that identity drained her. That identity kept her in fawn mode. So we healed all of these memories, all of the solar plexus chakra stuff, the heart chakra stuff, the throat chakra stuff. And we made sure that she no longer had the frequency where she attracted these relationships that demanded emotional labor, because that was her previous agreement with everybody energetically. What she truly was a leadership archetype, and she was no longer a match for people who saw her as less than because she saw herself as less than. Now she was just stating what she wanted. She stepped out of her past and she stepped into her power. Now, I want to ask you, how does your social circle make you feel wealth wise? Right? When you were growing up, did you have more than, did you have less than? Were there certain memories or times where you felt a stretch around wealth? So write this down. What do your social circle believe about wealth and money? Think about your five closest friends and think about their relationship with wealth and how it affects you and what you've absorbed. Because, you know, we speak a lot about absorbing energy from people maybe when we have sex with them, right? But actually, spending a lot of time with people is the same as having sex with them because that's how much of their imprints you're absorbing because you're literally merging your frequencies. So look at the five closest friends, look at what they believe about wealth, look up that shows you about your own relationship to wealth. The last one, oh, we got two more actually. We've got ancestral and multidimensional. So the ancestral one is a client who, whatever she did, she could not keep her wealth. So she would make 500K or whatever and she would lose it. So she came to me and she was like, I don't understand what's going on. And when we looked into her ancestral pattern, so we're in a session, using the form of mediumship. I'm not a full-on medium, but I have mediumistic qualities. Her ancestors came through. And the ancestors said that he actually lost his life for being wealthy. His lineage carried a story of being punished for having too much. So there was a death imprint directly related to wealth. Now, she went back to her family and she confirmed that this was in fact true. And she realized that that had caused such a epigenetic imprint that wealth was just too dangerous to go towards. Wealth was something that you will lose your life for. Believe it or not, I talk a lot about the ancient persecution wound that lives in our throat chakra because when like how we lost our lives just for speaking up, for being a healer, for being ourselves. But there was actually a lot of instances where people lost their lives just for having money, just for being wealthy, just for being happy. Because when we'd gone through certain dark ages in our past, it was very common. So these ancestral wounds that you might not even know about still affect you to this day. And the best thing I can suggest that you do is find out about the wealth in your ancestry, find out about the stories, find out your grandma's relationship with wealth, your great grandfather, your great aunt, because it's important to know our history and know our lineage. And if you have psychic abilities or mediumistic abilities, tune in, see what's still in you. If you can't find a place, if you can't find the origin and it's not coming, it most likely is ancestral. Now, the final one, the multi-dimensional one, right? It's a past life wealth imprint, is me. I'm going to tell one of my stories. So I am a singer, and if you know my story or you may not know, and I'm not going to get into it because it's going to be a huge thing, but I am a singer and that's what I was doing professionally in my 20s before I got into all of this. And there was a time where all of my whole career was going to take off. I was going to get signed to a major record deal and I lost my voice. And it was a dark night of the soul for me. It was a very hard time because my whole identity was music and it is what I was here to do. It's what I had to fight to do. And I didn't know why something so harsh happened to me after I put in so much effort and love and time. And, now my voice is back, but I had to do a past life regression on myself, where I had to go into what happened. And there was a past life where I was a singer and I think it was somewhere in Africa. And I, it was a very patriarchal society, village. So I used to sing to bring joy because we were doing monotonous kind of work, right? I would sing to bring joy, and all the women in the community would join in, and we would be dancing and singing, and that was my like aim in that life, right? To bring joy and to bring music and to bring life. And this made all of us women closer. But the men didn't like it because they felt that singing was wrong and they felt singing was giving us too much power and it was making us dance in certain ways and, bring our sexuality through and all of these things. So they told us to stop. But I couldn't stop. So I kept going and the women kept going. And then I had a vision that I'd lost my life over that because they told me to stop. I didn't want to stop and I'd lost my life. So in this life, when things were about to become super public for me, I lost my own voice as a thing of like punishing myself and like killing myself, that identity to not be killed. And it was only, I actually lost my voice for 5 years, and it was only after I did this session that my voice started to come back. And it's back now, but obviously I'm still working through it, okay? So I told you these five wounds because our well story is so multifaceted, and it's not just a mindset thing and it's not just an emotional thing. It's so holistic and it comes from these origins. And the method that I use with people is super personal, it's super deep, it's super tied to your most intimate connections, such as being in the womb, ancestral, the parts of you that felt shame for wanting more or not having enough, or when you put the best mindset work strategy and surface healing forward, it's on top of an identity that's carrying so much baggage. So we can't layer new identities on top of something that's already full. It's going to just feel like putting oil over water or water over oil. It's not going to be able to integrate. We need to create fertile ground, really clearing out all of this baggage to then bring through the mindset, the strategy, the ideas into fruition and make it go forward in a very smooth and effortless way. So when people talk about a smooth wealth journey, this is how you have that. This is how I've helped a lot of people, a lot of clients to be able to move forward in a very smooth way. Now, the medicine is a very different kind of medicine because, of course, my background with Kundalini and the Vedas, and this is and my knowledge with this is comes through my lineage. So it's not something I've gone and learned from somebody else. I feel like I've definitely learned it from the source in South India. And that's very potent work. It's very ancient work. It really does work with your unique frequency. I also work with the five origins that I've mentioned. I work with telepathy. I work with parts work. I work with mediumship, especially with the ancestral work. Um, I work with identity shifting. I work intuitively. We work sometimes on negative energy removal, energy transference, somatic release, but in the Vedic way. And these things are super different, and it might be parts of what you've experienced before, but it definitely has its unique spin. And in my work, when people truly dedicate themselves and turn up to the whole program, the shifts have been unbelievable. So, I want to talk about a little bit before we finish about the programs that we need to pluck out of our being, okay? Because we talk a lot about old paradigm or new paradigm, but I'm going to be talking about the exact programs that you need to cancel. So the first old paradigm program to cancel is a scarcity program. Now, this keeps you in your root chakra. This keeps you always watching out for danger, always hoarding, always grasping, fearing loss. And this originates from inherited money trauma and survival instincts. And it's also the Matrix loves to spike it by saying, hey, we're going to recession, or even people will you put this in their marketing to activate your scarcity program. Now, we want to change your scarcity program to a program of the ocean of overflow, okay? The ocean of overflow. So we're seeing a whole ocean which is overflowing. This is about holding an unshakable sense of worth. The frequency is knowing who you are, what you're here for, and radiating it outwards. So when we are radiating, we are not absorbing lower level programs, okay? When we are in this vibration, it's our second nature to expand, to receive, to play, to circulate wealth with confidence and calm. When I read these programs, they're going to be like a transmission. So just receive them. Just receive them because we've done the journaling bit, we've done the listening bit. This is the of receiving. The second program is the program of duty. Okay, so this is when we believe it is our duty to give it, put effort, to put sacrifice, to put self-betrayal. We measure our value by how hard we've worked and how much external validation we've received. Cancel that program. The new program is the Prosperity Priestess. Prosperity Priestess is she's loyal to herself. So you are loyal to yourself. You're loyal to your own energy, your own intuition, your own alignment. You make the rules, and money responds to your frequency. You do not go against yourself to receive. You do not do that. When I said I want to create a business using no social media, everybody said to me, you're not gonna be able to do that. But I've done that. Okay, this, if you see, I'm just about getting back on social media now because I set that rule. Hey, I want to do this, this, and this without this, this, and this. The third old paradigm program to remove is the familiarity program, right? When we give it too much into our inner saboteur, right? When self-sabotage is when we're moving forward, we get this emotional fog, we get the distraction, we get crises in our life. How many times have we going towards something and then crisis happens, right? Something in our family happens, or our health problem, or something in our house. This is made by our inner saboteur, right? It's to pull us back at the edge of expansion, to keep us in the familiar. The new paradigm is the sovereign initiator. This is understanding that we are constantly going to expand, but we are constantly going to expand with our higher self and spiritual team. So everyone is on board, everyone, all the parts are on board. Our spiritual team is on board, our higher self is on board, our body is on board. And when everything is on board and our nervous system and chakra system is regulated, we are primed to initiate and hold expansion. So when we do the clearing work, we get to be the sovereign initiator. The other old paradigm thing that's gone is the conforming program. So when we trade our authenticity for approval, for clients, for financial certainty. So when we follow the book, the method, that somebody has taught us to get X, Y, and Z, but we're not actually putting in our soul and our essence and who we really are. We're conforming too much. Even in this industry, people start conforming. You start undercharging, you start overgiving, you start contorting yourself to be chosen. That is a very old program. The new program is about having an open throat chakra, receiving wealth through your creativity, originality, and presence, and knowing that your business model is just who you are, right? Your authenticity is your business model. You don't calibrate to others, you are self assured in your identity. The fifth program is the martyr program. So giving way too much, leaving nothing for yourself, burning out emotionally, spiritually, or financially, and understand and thinking that that's how it should be. New paradigm is the freedom oracle. Create nourishment, spaciousness, and choice first for yourself. First, give to yourself, and then from there, you will naturally become an example and you will naturally give to others because you have an overflow. And then abundance will meet you. The frequency of abundance will match you. Okay? The eighth one is, or sixth one is false escapism program. So this is when you just dissociate with from finances. You don't want to know about your own finances. You're afraid of what you're going to find. You just don't want to get involved. And this creates instability when you do this, when you don't engage with your financial realm. This creates instability through avoidance and emotional overwhelm. And then you start escaping into things which take you away from wealth. Whereas the new paradigm, legacy empress is what I call her, you are so in touch with your financial realm. Okay, you see it with elegance and clarity. Your energetic system knows exactly what's happening, and you build systems to make things easier, and you build like vehicles and you build products and offers to really illustrate what you're here to do. You are completely engaged in your finances, and all the ups and downs you are okay with because you understand that it's just a mirror of what's going on within you. The last program is the repetition program. Okay. The repetition program is repeating everything from your childhood, your parental wounds, your outdated emotional coding, your ancestry. And your money story is literally a repetition of what you have lived, what your ancestors and have lived, what your parents have lived. The new paradigm, integrated soul, is understanding that your wealth identity comes from a healed identity, a coherent energy, and emotional alignment where you create from your future and not your past. So, there are three things. If I can sum up everything and say there are three things that you need to solve today. The first thing is the discordance between what you want and what you have. So, it's like you want this, this is where you're at. The discordance needs to collapse. The second thing is the very real baggage that is keeping you from elevating and is not going to be solved by traditional patterns because you can't create a layer cake. You can't put all of your trauma, all of your baggage, all of the stuff from your origins, and then on top put strategy and whatever, and then on top it's not a layer cake situation, right? It's there's actual baggage that is stopping you. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to heal it. The third thing is a complete reset and upgrade to heal the baggage on all levels, including the epigenetic and multidimensional. And that is why you're here. That is why you've made it to the end of this masterclass. That is why you are part of everything wealth related that, you've come into contact with that I'm doing right now. And that is why you're part of this event. So, I am going to present an offer to you that I've never done before, okay? And we're going to really wrap this up because I know that right now, when times are changing and everything looks so chaotic and everything's so going all over the place, what needs to happen is a deep money reset activation. So I am looking for a group of people, a group of women, right? To work with over 6 weeks to completely reset your money identity, wealth frequency, and nervous system capacity for abundance. And by the end of our time together, you will break the income ceiling that you keep hitting. So your financial reality finally matches your vision. You'll heal the hidden origins of your money wounds, whether they come from mother, father, ancestry, early life, past life. You'll regulate your nervous system and recalibrate your chakras enough so receiving becomes safe, easeful, and natural. This is for the woman you who has a lot or she wants to feel confident and expanding. and for the woman who is beginning and knows that she's meant for more, because this applies in every single facet of expansion. So, how are we going to achieve this, right? We're going to clear your money root identity. We're going to start dissolving the dominant unconscious patterns, things like what I've mentioned, the loyalty to your family's earning level, fear of being too much or having too little, scarcity imprints, ancestral memories of punishment for success. And you'll stop shrinking your wealth to stay loyal to an old identity, right? So, for example, one client broke her 20K income ceiling in 3 weeks just from clearing her motherline. We're also going to clear the 5 origins of your wealth story. So, womb and conception imprints, mother and father imprints, early school relationship patterns, social life conditioning, ancestral trauma, past life wealth memories. This group that I'm going to be working with is we're going to go deep into all of these origins that I know that wealth blocks come from and create a complete financial identity shift and not just a temporary high. And we're going to be doing it together, right? So to truly recalibrate your wealth system so you're not stuck in fawn, freeze, fight, or flight. You'll be able to receive without that tight feeling. You'll be able to expand without giving in too much to the inner saboteur. You'll be able to enjoy pleasure and earn and create a lifestyle without guilt. And you'll be able to truly rest, switch off without fear. Okay. So at the end of the 6 months, if you truly engage and follow along, you will have a fully upgraded money blueprint, one that aligns with the version of you that wants the lifestyle, love, freedom, and wealth that you desire. And this is not going to be offered at this investment again. This is a one-time deep dive for a small group of highly committed women. And the transformation that we're going to be doing is all the things we spoke about: womb and conception regression, mother, father line, nervous system, ancestral, relationship, social circle, past life, and then bringing in things like parts work, completion, Vedic completion, which is from the Vedas, Vedic frequency clearing and sound healing, identity shifting and energetic transference the Vedic way. So I'm so excited about this investment, you guys, because I don't know, if I was you, I'll just jump on this, right? Because I remember me a while ago and I was like nowhere near where I am now. And if I had a program like this, I wouldn't have had to spend like 5 years just going through my wealth programs, right? My wealth programming. So this is available to you for a limited time, for a limited number of people, for £999. This is 6 weeks of Zoom calls in a small group. You will get hot seat coaching, which means, we will get that one-on-one time. You'll get a WhatsApp group with me where you can WhatsApp me. And you know what? I'm just going to throw in a one-to-one with me as well, because why not, right? I want to give you the best value for this. I really want to help you. And there is also a payment plan available, and it's definitely limited. So I'm not going to be taking everybody on. So if you want this, click the link below and sign up immediately, because I'm giving this to you before I make it available to my email community as well. And if you would like a deeper dive with me, then feel free to reach out to do a one-to-one with me. If you have any questions, email my team. Thank you for being here with me. I can't wait to have you in my community. Can't wait to work with you on a deeper level. This is probably one of the most exciting offers that I've given. I'm going to not give this at this investment level again because it will be a pre-recorded program after this. So, thank you for being with me. If you want lifetime access to this, of course, you can check out the Golden Circle. This might be something you might want to visit over and over again, or just jump in and let's do the work, right? Because I really have poured a lot into this, and halfway through, I was like, woo, it's a lot of energy. Thank you for being here with me today. I honor you, and I will see you soon.